My name is Qasim Ackrim. I'm a 22-year-old entrepreneur and I run a business that makes me over $70,000 per month. And this year I'm on track to make over £2 million. And this is my story of how I started my first ever business when I was 17 and had all of my success and lived my dream life and come to this point where I now have the plan to become a billionaire by the time I turn 30. I grew up in a city called Glasgow in Scotland, and this is my high school. So I came here to my high school for the entire time, from the age of like 11 to 17 before I actually left. And my childhood, I would say, the majority of the time was lonely. Study-wise, I did study. I always knew that I had to do well. My parents pushed me. They allowed me to come to this is a private school, so they actually allowed me to come to a private school. I realised that my childhood wasn't the same as most other kids. I somewhat knew my parents were struggling financially. We had to move houses a couple of times, moved areas, lost a couple of friends that I was friends with from very young childhood. I knew that I wasn't getting money the same way, pocket money the same way that maybe other kids were. I really wanted to make money. I was asking my dad, can I do paper runs? Can I find a way to be a coach at tennis? I played tennis as a kid. And I settled on what I was going to do was sell sweets in school. So on Sundays at 5 a.m, me and my dad would go to a market in Glasgow. I'd buy loads of sweets, chocolates, canned drinks. I'd bring them in my gym bag to school at break times every single day. Everybody would end up coming to know that at break times you go to this certain class where Qasim would be, and you can buy Iron Brew and different cans and different chocolates that I would have. And then like total revenue that I probably made before that got shut down was around like maybe £600. And I remember this is like the time where like bullying for me was at its peak. It was more of a case of like, I thought everybody would like, at least somewhat support me that I was trying to make money. But no one was. Everyone used it as a way to take the piss out of me and to laugh at me and to steal my bag at lunchtime and to run around with it and then steal all my sweets, and everyone would make fun of me like that. And it was character developing for sure. But that was what kind of led me on to thinking about money in a bigger way. When it comes to actually making real money, it was at a time when I was around 17. So when I turned 17, it was a time in the school where it was around the second last exams. It's called Hires in Scotland. And at this time, you're being told, what do you want to do? What's the path you want to take? What do you want to do in university? What do you want to do after university as a career? And I was always thinking computing science, but not for the sake of that I wanted to, actually do computing. I hated it, never enjoyed computing as a subject. But I knew that when it comes to making money and taking care of my parents, computing was the only field that I could see as a job that I could get into. So I did as much as I could. I did something called a degree apprenticeship at a bank called Barclays and Glasgow University, where they would pay me to go to university and get this degree in computing and then have a job at Barclays as a software engineer. And I went through the whole process. I got through it. It was a very long process. Very few people in Glasgow got into it. I actually asked the guy that was interviewing me, I asked him, what is your life like? Surely, you're very high up in the company. Surely, like, a chief something officer. He said to me, that's not really how corporate life works. You kind of maybe move around departments, but you never really get a chance to move up the company. And my whole vision or my whole idea of what life would be was just crushed. And when that happened, that's when everything hit for me. Was like, okay, I need to find a way to make money. I need to find a way to build a business. And at this time as well, it really hit for me. I think it was to do with my parents really telling me for once that they weren't really doing well financially. After realizing all this is what really drove me to feel like, okay, I need to start a real business when I was 17. And it was also, of course, 2020. And that was the start of the first lockdown in the UK. And when that lockdown came, of course, most before that I was in this school every single day, and that was my life. But then it started to become like, okay, you're maybe not in school. I was spending most of my time at home. So when I turned 17, it was 2020, I spent every single day, like as soon as I came back from school, and also when it was summer holidays when I had no school, every single day I would search up, how can I make money online? How can I start a business online? How can I get rich online? How can I make money in general? And I watched every single video that exists on YouTube, all these gurus you probably are used to watching. Every business model you could probably watch, drop shipping, Amazon FBA, trading, Forex, all these different business models. And nothing ever really aligned with me that much. But I kept, every single day, I was so determined. Honestly, I had no option in my mind of going to university, even though I didn't tell my parents that. In my mind, I was like, okay, university's off the table. I need to find a way to make money. As I was looking at all these business models, I realised that, of course, the main thing was I didn't have any money. I had like £200 to my name when I was 17. After watching all these videos every single day, how to make money online, all these different business models, I came across this one business model from a certain guy at the time. And he was talking about a business where instead of like, selling Chinese products online or like having to like trade or invest with your own money, he talked about a business where he provides services to other business owners and you can get paid like a monthly payment, monthly retainer, and get somebody else to do the work for you. Like my whole like idea of what I could do, just like, I finally found it. I felt like in my mind that I finally found the business that I could start. So what I did, next thing I did was obviously I looked into it for another like week or two. I kind of built like a plan of like what I would do. I showed it to my friends in school. I actually vividly remember when I came into school that day at lunchtime or break time. I showed my friends, I told it to my friends, I told them like, there's a business that I can start, that you can start as well. We can start do it together where we can provide services to business owners and they'd pay us like, $1K a month or $500 per month or something like that. And I remember the first thing that happened was they just bullied me. They said, why would a business owner pay a 17-year-old any money? Stop being an idiot, all these different things. I got bullied quite a lot for that idea. So after that, I just stopped telling any of my friends about it. And then I went to my parents. So I told my parents about it, and also I told my parents that there was a course back in the day that I actually wanted to buy. I'm lucky I didn't buy it because obviously I didn't have any money for it. It was like $1,000. My dad said, was telling me all this stuff about business is a scam. All these people who sell courses are a scam. Don't start a business, focus on your studies. My parents actually were, obviously being Pakistani, very, very strict when it comes to like, not wasting your potential when it comes to studying and exams and university. So pretty much I got zero support from anybody. If anything, all I got was hate, and all I got was like putting me down. But I'm also lucky in the sense, I don't know what it was, I feel like it was the deep underlying why that I had. The why being that I wanted to save my parents from the struggle they were in. I wanted to give them the life that I wanted them to have. I wanted to obviously myself be rich too and be like a real business owner. And also when it comes to my friends, I'm lucky looking back now that I wasn't too friendly with anybody. I wasn't that close to many people, and especially I wasn't in the group of friends that would waste a lot of time, go to parties, just drink and all that kind of stuff. Because for me, that one like rejection I got, I guess, or like lack of support I got from my friends at the time that I had, it didn't really affect me that much. It only affected me in a way where I didn't want to tell anybody anything. So that's when everything started for me. That was the start of my journey when it comes to starting a business. So I looked into everything I could look into online on YouTube about starting this business model. Every single day on YouTube, as soon as I come back from school, I'd watch YouTube all day, every day. And that's when I actually I learned enough to actually start. So I started, I was watching videos every single day. I was doing the work these YouTube videos were telling me to do. Of course, never had enough money to buy any courses, so I never could ever learn from somebody. But I ended up just kind of figuring out my own way of doing it, figuring out how can I actually build a business where I could work with companies, they would pay me X amount of money, and I provide services for them. So what I settled on first was, back in 2020, Facebook ads was becoming a big thing for online businesses and business in general. So what I thought was, okay, I can do two things. I can provide a service where I can sell Facebook ads, and I can kind of find somebody to do that for me. And I can also do social media. So I can provide social media services, making social media posts, posting them for them, managing the social media and Instagram page. That was the two services that I settled on. Okay, this is what I can do for companies. And then the work started every single day. I'd come home, sit at my laptop, my computer. I tried to learn as much as I could. I'd send messages to businesses. That's what we were told to do, outreach back in the day, emails and Instagram messages and all this different stuff that I was doing. I eventually found a job platform that, there was a little hack back in the day where I could apply to jobs that businesses were posting and then, kind of like turn them into more like actually clients rather than actually doing the job. And that's how I actually found my first ever client. So my first ever client was in 2020. It was around like maybe April, May time, and it was £400. So £400 was like a jewellery business, like a very small jewellery business that wasn't really making any money. And I signed them on for £400 a month for us to do Facebook ads for them. So what happened was, all I did, I applied to that job on Upwork. It's a platform called Upwork for Facebook ads. I got them on a call, and then I closed them for £400. And then I got some Indian guy that I found on Upwork again to actually do the ads for me. And then that was it. I had my first ever client. I was actually running a business. I remember the money hitting my bank account, £400. I was gassed. I got a screenshot right now. I'll bring it up on screen. And yeah, that was kind of the start. As I was starting my agency when I was 17, of course I was still in school. I was still applying to universities. And the main thing that I was actually applying for, the main thing that I wanted was something called a degree apprenticeship. Now that was something where I'd work at this place called Barclays as a bank. And they were first opening this kind of like big office here, which is what you can see. And that was like a big thing where it was a very competitive thing that, people tried to get into in computing, where you'd get a degree apprenticeship, they'd pay you like 19 grand a year, you'd go to Glasgow University, get a computing degree and get a secure job here. And I actually went through the whole process. I did all the interviews, all the tests, my exam scores were good enough, and my higher exams. And I got in, I did all the interviews. But like I said, when I realized that, the life that I thought I would have in a career was nowhere near the reality in real life. And also that I also started my own business, and I kind of realized that I can make money in my own way and I can do my own thing. Like I didn't even follow up. Like they emailed me back saying that we'd actually love to move forward with you and like let us know we can get started. I didn't email them back, and that's what happened for me. And from then onwards, I just like the thought of university in my mind. Even though my parents really pushed me and they were very, very angry at me, to be honest, I actually feel like with my parents quite a lot over this topic of like going to university, not going to university. But obviously, at that time when I was 17, I didn't tell anybody about the business that I started. After I told them about it, and like they rejected me and they like shut me down in a sense. After that, me selling my first client, me making some money, nobody knew. I kept it all to myself. It was just me in my bedroom, my laptop every single day, just solitude for months and months. This leads me to the point where it was summertime. So of course, no more school. I had enough time to actually work on my own stuff. And this is when I went all out. So obviously I had my first ever client, but then I knew that I actually wanted to hit my main goal actually that I set for myself was to hit 10K a month and like, money that I'm making every single month by my 18th birthday. That was a big goal that I had. And even though I signed my first client, in my opinion, that was a bit of luck. And when it comes to like sending like bigger clients, that was not just paying me like £400 a month, but more like 1K, 1.5K, 2K a month. It wasn't really happening for months. And to be honest, the main thing that I struggled with was procrastination. I would sit down every single day and I would do like the meaningless work, build my website and work on some other stuff that wasn't really important. When it comes to actually doing the work that signed me clients, it was never really happening. And that's when a big shift for me happened around summertime that year. And it was when I was talking to somebody online and they told me, I was telling them about how I was procrastinating and how like I thought my performance and the way my habits weren't good and that's why I wasn't making more money and selling more clients. But the truth was, the importance that I put in my mind around hitting 10K a month on my birthday, that then created a fear in my mind. And that fear that I didn't know I had around hitting 10K per month, thinking about, subconsciously thinking, would I hit it? What happens if I don't hit it? Am I a failure if I don't hit it? And all these different thoughts that would go in my head. Every time I would sit down to work, what would happen is I would just not be able to do any of the work that would actually move me forward towards that goal. And that's what would happen for months. But as soon as that guy told me, that a good friend of mine to this day, he told me that, what if you just let go of that idea? What if you just let go of that goal of hitting 10K a month by this certain day and you just did the work that you needed to do to move forward in the whole overall journey? And I thought that, okay, fine, I'll let it go. I'll stop thinking about this goal that I had. I'll stop telling people. I started doing the work. I started to do outreach. I was sitting down every single day when I came home. I remember the routine that I had when I still had school. What happened was I would wake up at 6 a.m. I would walk to school around like 6:37. I would go to the gym from like 7-ish to like 8:30-ish. Then I would like have a shower in the Pure Gym in Glasgow. It was like a half an hour walk, half an hour, an hour in the gym. Then like another half an hour walk to school, and then walk to school, of course. And I think about my days in this way, where I'd have like 2 days in one. So I do my first day in school, 9 to 4. I just have to get it done. I hated school, never liked it. I never enjoyed classes, never enjoyed certain subjects. I just did it for the sake of it. Obviously, I had to do it. Then when I came back at 4 p.m, I almost like started a new day. So I'd go for a cold shower again, do like a small little workout, and I get straight into work from like maybe 4:30 to like 9:30 p.m. every single day, no matter what. And while I was in that routine every single day, non-stop, I was also losing, like, I was really fat as a kid. So I was so determined to both first make money and also to lose all my fat. And I'll show you kind of the journey that I went through, the transformation that I had. But it was 6 months of every single day going to the gym, like doing like 90 minutes of cardio every single day, working for 4 or 5 hours a day after school, doing school, of course. I had exams too. And I did that for solid maybe like 4 to 5, maybe 6 months. And that, while I had the right mindset too, that is what got me to eventually my first ever 10K month. And when I made 10K in 1 month, it wasn't like I really like planned to get there, to be honest. It really just happened. And that was the beauty of me letting go of that big goal that I had to hit 10K a month on my 18th birthday. And it happened in around September, end of September in 2020. And obviously my birthday, when I turned 18, would be in December, like a few months later. So I actually hit my goal like 3 or 4 months before my main like initial goal that I had for my birthday. At this time, I was making good money. Again, nobody knew. I didn't tell anybody this time. I had a couple of guys in an online community on Facebook that I was talking to. Apart from that, in real life, I told no one. None of my friends knew, my parents didn't know. It was all just me and these guys that I met online on Facebook groups, and I had some calls with here and there on Zoom. Around this time, I had one main guy that I was friends with, who was a guy that was doing quite well for himself. He was like maybe in his mid-20s, early 20s, and he was making like 40, 50K per month from his own agency. And he just moved to Dubai at this time, and around October, November that time. And I remember asking him when I had like maybe 20 to 30K saved up from my 10K months, couple months of that. I asked him, bro, what should I be investing in? Like I have a bit of money now, like maybe crypto, maybe, Forex or trading. What should I be doing? And he said to me, bro, why don't you just invest in yourself and come to Dubai? Because I'm here now. And I was like, you know what? Like, that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty sick. So I was seeing his stories, I was seeing his life, and I was like, that sounds pretty cool. So what happened was, obviously nobody knew what I was doing in terms of my parents or anything. So I had to say to them, I was around like obviously 1 month before turning 18. So I said to him, when I turn 18, I'll come out. And what happened was, I argued with my parents maybe like 3 to 4 weeks. It was really bad. But I argued with them for like 3 to 4 weeks, shouted every single day, about me going to Dubai by myself and being able to go out there. Eventually, after a lot of argument, I did eventually settle with them on going for a week, and I brought my sister out with me too. So I went there for a week, brought my sister with me, and I remember when I first ever went there, obviously the flight going there, I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know what was going to happen. I obviously knew my friend was there. I asked him to find me a good apartment. I had no idea anything other than that, what was going to happen or what I was going to do or who I was going to see or even what Dubai was like. I never went on a holiday to a place like Dubai when I was a kid. Yeah, I remember vividly like going there. I was landing like at night time, like 2, 3 a.m. Taxi to the building, and the building that I was staying in was in downtown Dubai, and it was just crazy, like 4 massive towers with purple lights going up it, and it just looked like a crazy building. I remember getting inside. I went to the elevator and I looked at the WhatsApp group chat with the person that I booked the apartment with, and to find out which room number it was, so I could see what floor to click on the elevator, and it was like 6076, and I was like 6706, and I was thinking 67, like what does that mean? I didn't actually know that I'd been on the 67th floor. I remember going to that floor. I got there. I obviously opened the elevator. I went to my room, opened the door of the room. And I went to the terrace. I saw this like a terrace. So I opened the door, went out to the terrace, and like what I was seeing was just like the whole downtown Dubai skyline. I was seeing the Burj Khalifa, all these crazy buildings. It was like Dubai. Obviously, the lights on all the buildings were on. I'd never seen something like this in my life. I was completely shocked. And like also as well, after a couple hours of like just being by myself, it's like 4 a.m. or something. My friend came back from wherever he was, the one that I went to go out to there to see. First met him. That was obviously a really cool experience. First meeting a guy that I met online. For the first time. That's my first ever friend. He's known me since the start of my journey when I was pessimistic and when I was 17, thinking about quitting when I was really procrastinating. So he's seen me since then. So seeing him for the first time was really cool. And then from there, that my life in Dubai was like a dream. I couldn't have even imagined that I was going to live that life. And obviously, I was still in school. So I was lucky because it was lockdown, but it was still school. School was still on when I went to Dubai for the first time. There were still online classes that I never really attended. My school didn't really know that I was in Dubai. And obviously I was meant to go there for a week, but I stayed there for like maybe 4-ish months, 3.5, 4 months, from like December all the way till around April time. I remember in the first couple of weeks I was driving Lambos, Ferraris. I rented my own like Corvette at that time. I rented that for like 2-3 weeks. I was driving supercars when I never even driven a car before really. I learned to drive properly when I was in Dubai in these supercars. And the guys that I was meeting, who I was obviously luckily for my friend, he had a lot of good friends there, so he introduced me to his friends. I was going to parties with like, multi-millionaires. My first ever time actually really being in a social environment around people. Because obviously before that, during school, I never really had friends that I would go out with. I was meeting multi-millionaires, these, older kind of billionaires as well. A few friends I have to this day who are billionaires, and their families are massive families, and also like sons of kings in Arab countries. All these crazy people that I was meeting, massive influencers from the UK as well that would live there too. I became friends with all these guys. They would all find me really impressive and respect me for the fact that I built a business and was making like 10, 15K a month by the time I turned 18. And that whole experience was just crazy. I pretty much just lived my dream life for about 4 months. But obviously reality hit and I had to come back for exams. So I came back to Scotland for my higher exams. But I remember vividly as well, obviously these exams are very important, like A-levels in England. And these are like the exams that determine whether you get to university or not. And I remember vividly like doing these exams, I didn't care at all about them. I didn't care what result I got. Obviously, I did put the work in to like do well with them, so I think I got A's and B's. But I remember vividly as well with the maths exam. That was obviously one of the main subjects. And obviously, a lot of the Asian kids, they want to go to medicine and get into like engineering, whatever it may be. So they need a very good maths score. They need an A. And I remember I didn't do well in that maths exam. I can't lie to you. I got like a B or a C. And I remember coming out of that. I didn't care. I didn't care at all. I was like, oh, let me just get out of here. But I remember seeing like the other guys that I knew, somewhat girls as well, that were just crying. They were bawling their eyes out because they knew they messed up these exams. And I remember that for me, that feeling that I had standing there thinking, I'm so grateful that I don't care at all about these exams, or nor do I care at all about university. This for me at this point, like my mind was just, university was not going to happen. But yeah, that feeling of knowing that these guys who I thought were the smartest ones in school, who were the ones I somewhat looked up to in school, were now like almost crying and like almost really sad that they didn't do well in the maths exam. I was so grateful at that point. Now this went on for me after school kind of finished in that year. I wasn't finished with school, but the second last year of high school I finished. Then I went to London for the first time. So I had a couple of friends again that I met online. I went to go live with them in London and see them for the first time. And what I really wanted to do while I was in London, I got this massive penthouse. I paid like 4.5k a month in GBP for that penthouse in Canary Wharf in London. I like went all out. And what happened was, I remember going there with the kind of mindset of like, I kind of want to see how university life would be. I had a couple of friends that went to like LSE, Greenwich University, and these universities in London. And I kind of want to like live with them a little bit, like see how their life is in university. And I remember like what really made me know for a fact that I'm never going to university was that I know, obviously my parents, even other friends, my parents tried to tell me to think about university, going there. Even though they knew I was making money, they still wanted me to go to university. And this was like, again, a massive fight that I had with them over months. And they really almost hated me for months. It was really not a good time with my parents in terms of our relationship. And I remember it came to a point where I just realized if I went to university, the work ethic, the dedication, the discipline that I built up, building my business when I was 17, would all go down the drain. It would all go down the toilet. And I realized this because I saw that the way that these uni guys would live their life, partying all the time, in their obviously accommodations, and overall what they're doing in life is just nothing while they're in uni. And when I saw that for the first time, and I really experienced it, and I was obviously around them, living with them in a sense, and going to their parties in a sense, I just knew if I went to university, no matter what university it was, I would ruin my life. I didn't want to go to university for myself, so that was off the table, but for my parents, they hated me so much for the idea of not going to university, and my mum was so upset. And I remember, because of that, I was still thinking about maybe I should just go and just see how it goes and just do what I can, do the best I can. But I remember a friend told me, a very good friend, he told me, do you actually want to serve your parents long term, or do you just want to please them? And when he told me that question, and asked me that question, I thought about that for a solid few weeks. And I realized that's like what I'm doing right now, building this business, living my own life, forging my own path, not living the life or going down the path that has been prescribed to me by my parents or by society or by school. This is me serving my parents. I knew that I'd be able to take care of my parents this way, and I would not be able to do that by going to university. And I didn't blame them for that. I didn't blame them for hating me for not going to university, because I knew that their whole perception on being a successful parent and there being their kid being successful in life and being comfortable in life and being safe in life was going to university and getting a job. But I knew for me that was never going to happen. So luckily enough, I kind of had the courage to, even though my parents hated me, I talked to them properly. I sat down with them, I showed them money I was making. Obviously they'd seen me go to Dubai, I brought them out to Dubai with me. And at this time as well, I also kind of retired my parents. So my parents never needed to work ever again. Obviously my parents didn't really have much of a job anyway, but they didn't need to worry about money too much ever again. And also as well, I bought my dad a Tesla. So when I was 18, I came back from Dubai, and obviously I'd driven all these supercars and stuff in Dubai. I was like, okay, I need to have a car myself when I'm in Glasgow, because obviously I had to stay there for school. So I thought to myself, what car can I get that I would enjoy driving, but obviously it's mainly from my dad? And I came up with the idea. I went to the Tesla website. I remember looking at the Tesla website. I was like, okay, how much is a Tesla Model 3, the performance model of Model 3? I looked it up. I found that it wasn't that expensive, to be honest, compared to the money that I was making at the time. I also made some money in crypto too, so it was good times for me back in that day, 2021, sorry. And I bought my dad a Tesla. So I remember us going to that Tesla. I ordered it, it came me a month later. I ordered it all online. It was literally pressing buttons to buy something on Amazon. It came a month later. Me, my dad, and my sister went to go get it. My dad's had a Tesla ever since. And I bought him that when I was 18. Then from there, my kind of life was just more enjoyment. I kind of lived life more, had more experiences. I was making good money. Life continued from there. Also, a massive shift that I had in my mind was when I was living in Dubai and I came back from Dubai and had some time to digest what happened there. I realized that, me spending time with all these multimillionaires, a lot of them were a few years older than me, 23, 24, I was 18 at this time. And I realized that the business that I was running, the social media business, I was doing social media management for businesses, I was making 15, 20K a month maybe. I realized that, making 15K a month, 20K a month with 20, 30 clients, it may sound good to somebody who hasn't built a business, but when you're actually doing it, you realize, especially when you want to become a multimillionaire, which is what I wanted to, I knew when I was there, when I met these guys who were multimillionaires, I knew that, okay, I wanted to become one myself as soon as possible. So I was thinking, how is this business that I'm running going to get me there? And I knew that it wasn't. So I kind of, in a sense, I stopped trying to grow that business. I was making so much money in crypto as well at the time as well, just luckily, I got it in a good time. And I remember I really sat down while I was back at home and thought to myself, what company do I actually want to build? And how am I actually going to become a multimillionaire? And that's when I actually came into starting my business that I run to this day, which is a business called the Growth Partner Agency. Because where it came about was, the real business I wanted to build to make me multiple millions in every single year was a business called an e-commerce brand. That was the kind of business I really wanted to build. I knew that I could become a $100 million business in the future. I was thinking, how can I get there? How can I get to a point where I actually have the money to invest into it, and second, have the experience, expertise, and also a team that I can use to build my own e-commerce brand. So I built a business that could actually give me all those things, and that was my growth partner agency. So it's a business where I partner with e-commerce brands, the same type of company that I want to build myself in the future. And what would happen is, I would partner with them, they'd pay me a number like 5 to 10K per month as a retainer. They'd also give me a revenue share from the revenue that I would generate for them, and I'd help them grow social media. So what I do for them is I help them grow through, like, for example, working with influencers as affiliates for their brand. I'd produce the videos for them for their ads, I'd run their ads. It's pretty much everything that a brand would need to grow through social media. And through doing that, I was able to go from, obviously I was making like 15, 20K a month with like 20, 30 clients before this. But when I built this business, my first ever client that I signed was a 5K per month retainer. And then from there, I remember like in 1 week, I signed 5 clients, all for around 5K a month. So I went from like 0 to 25K in 1 week. It was like maybe the 5th week of starting. On that 1 week of calls I took, and I closed them all. So I was making the same amount of money that I made before, but way less work, way less clients, like 5 clients in total. And then within around 6 months of starting that business, and I was 19 or so, I went from 0 to 50K per month in profit with that business in 6 months. And that was me at the point where I really wanted to get to. I wanted to get to 50K per month in profit with my business at that time. And also as well, I actually became an expert in e-commerce, the business I actually wanted to build myself in the future. I had that dream when I was 17. And from there, in terms of my life, I went back to Dubai again. And while I was in Dubai, I realized to myself, I'm kind of slightly tired of Dubai. I kind of want to live a new life and go somewhere else and, work in myself somewhere else. And that's when I started traveling as well. So I started traveling a lot. I traveled around Europe with my friends in supercars. We ran in a Ferrari and a Porsche. We traveled all around Europe for like 2.5 months. I went to Thailand and lived there, started doing Muay Thai and boxing over there. And then eventually I came to a point where a friend of mine that was there, that I met when I was there, said to me, bro, I'm going to go to a place called Bali. It's an island, which a lot of entrepreneurs go to. Do you want to come with me? And I was like, let me go, I'll come. So I went from Thailand to Bali. And while I was in Bali, that is where I think the biggest shift in my life happened. I was making good money, I was somewhat happy, but I was also kind of feeling like a bit of a lack of purpose. I wasn't really feeling like what I was doing had much meaning in terms of making the money that I was making. I didn't really feel like I knew what I was doing long term. And while I was there, I got exposed to a lot of things like breath work and just a lot more like kind of deeper spirituality and realizing what my traumas were from my childhood. And when I kind of went through all that work to kind of like work through them and heal them and worked on my mindset a lot and became a lot more confident in myself and loved myself and who I was, which is what I didn't do back in the day before I went to Bali. I then kind of realized eventually what my real purpose was in this world. And that purpose has become the North Star of everything that I do from now on. And it's why, the business that I'm running, this year, it's on track to making multiple millions, at least £2 to £3 million this year in profit. Why, inshallah, I have the plan in the future to become a billionaire by the time I turn 30. It's all part of the mission and the purpose that I've been given. And I was lucky enough to have that while I was in Bali. And Bali was a great place for me to actually go through all of that internal work, I guess, and that inner, deeper spiritual stuff that normally you wouldn't really do in a materialistic place like Dubai or London. And that was what gave me a real shift to take things from a decent level to doing very, very well at a young age. Around this time as well, when I was living in Bali, I was living in this beautiful 6-bed mansion, this massive villa, with a few of my friends, and it was a perfect life. I was focusing on I was fighting, I was learning Muay Thai, I was becoming really fit, I was loving my life in general. But I also knew that there was a slight lack of purpose and like deeper feeling that I really wanted to have in my life. And it was really to do with religion. I never really felt before this that I'd really felt a deep connection to my religion. Obviously I grew up a Muslim, but I never really learned about Islam the way that I wanted to learn about it. And I started doing that while I was in Bali. And luckily I got the chance, alhamdulillah, to go to my first ever Umrah. And I managed to go, I took myself and my parents, so we all went, and the experience overall was life-changing. I remember while I was there, while I was doing the tawaf around the Kaaba, I remember closing my eyes, and it was a point in my life where I wasn't feeling too happy. There was a lot of things going on in my life, personal life back then. And I remember seeing almost like this vision while I was closing my eyes, while I was walking around. And that vision gave me it's almost like people would say they not saw God, but they were asking God for a sign and they were given it. And I feel like he gave me that while I was walking around the Kaaba for the first time. And coming back from Umrah and learning a lot more about Islam and our true purpose in this world, I realized that obviously when it comes to making money young, and people may think that, that makes me very materialistic and all that kind of stuff, and that's, I feel like I was getting there when I was living in Dubai. That's also why I left Dubai a little bit to go to Bali. And I realized my true purpose, and I feel like everyone's true purpose, is to serve God by serving His creation, obviously people. So I started to realize, how do I serve people? Not just by making money and taking from the world, but how do I give back to the world? And I remember that ever since I was 17, I always had this mission where when I became successful, I wanted to give back to the same type of guy that I was when I was 17, a young guy that had no support, that had no people around him telling him the right things, or giving him the right mentality to actually progress in life. And I wanted to give back in a way that inspired that same type of guy that I was when I was 17, when I was a teenager, and teach them everything they need to learn to really have success in the world, and do it the right way as well. And that's, for me, what I realized was my purpose. My purpose was that I was blessed with money, I was blessed with success, I was blessed with my life at my young age. I realized for the purpose, so that I can give back to the world, and I can almost create a shift in the world where more people realize that they have a purpose, they have a plan written for them by God before they were born. And that plan does not really include going to university, getting a normal job, going to 9 to 5 the rest of their life, and just like overall not really being happy or fulfilled. It involves you going through whatever experiences and fulfilling your plan, to then come to the point where you realize what your purpose is in this world, which is always, in whatever way you've chosen to be, to give back and to be of service to the world. And that's how you're being of service to God. And I realized that my way of doing that was to be able to teach young guys and guys in general how they can have the same transformation that I had, how they can have the same journey that I had, and fast forward their journey in being an entrepreneur, building a growth partner agency, for example, the same business that I started when I was younger, and be successful overall with the right mindset, with every aspect of their life being, their potential being unlocked. And that's when I started my education company. So my education company, it's called unlockyourpotential.io, and that's where I teach young guys and guys in general how to, kind of build their first ever business, the same one that I started when I first started, how to, become the best version of themselves, dive deeper into the religion and spirituality, and eventually scale their business to number like 50k a month, for example, where I was at when I had this realization. And that's what has kind of been keeping me going and being like a main part of my what's made me fulfilled every single day. And through that whole journey of me making money and being on track to make a few million this year, I then came up with the realization that I know that I need to be a billionaire in the future, and I want to be the first ever billionaire that's documented his entire journey from the age of 17, building every single business that he's going to build, showing how he's doing all of that, showing the lessons that he's learned. I want to be the first ever billionaire, inshallah, by the time I'm 30 years old, in around 9 years time. That's documented the entire thing, where you can go on YouTube and watch back and see from the age of 17 to the age of 30 or whatever it is when I become a billionaire, how he does that. So for example, on my YouTube channel, I posted about my plan to become a billionaire. I walk through the entire plan. I walk through all the lessons I've learned. I've made videos about the business model that I've built, how anybody can get started, the best how I've transformed my mindset and become who I am today. Everything that I've learned to turn me into the man I am today, alhamdulillah. I hope my story has inspired you to go against all odds. No matter what situation you're in, no matter who's putting you down, if you have a dream, a vision, an idea, remember that is God telling you what is meant for you, what your plan is. And ask yourself this question all the time. Would you rather listen to God or God's creation? And that question, for me, when I ask myself that question, it always aligns me with my true purpose. So no matter what situation you're in, no matter who's putting you down, if you have an idea, if you have a dream, go against all odds and make it happen, inshallah.